No need to whine, it's Whinypaluza. Have some wine and join us on the Whinypaluza Podcast with Rebecca Greene.
Welcome to the Whinypaluza Podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Greene. I'm a wife, mother of 3, and licensed clinical social worker. I also have 3 fur babies at home too. My passion has always been to help children and their families. I always dreamed of being a wife and a mother. Parents are always learning through their struggles, failures, and successes and joys. I am no stranger to this wild ride of parenting, and I know behind every great parent lies a team of supportive friends and family. I want to be part of your support system. I want you to know that you are not alone. We are in this parenting world together. Join me every week for insightful discussions with experts on parenting and marriage, as well as other parents who have found the secret to successes in parenthood. You'll learn tips and tricks to make life with your family better than ever. I hope you will follow along with me while we dive into what it takes to achieve a happy family.
This is a very unique interview today. This is my 489th podcast guest, but I think it's probably the most meaningful. And you're going to see why in just a minute. Today, I am joined by my incredible, amazing, astounding wife, Rebecca Greene. Rebecca is a licensed clinical social worker. She has a master's degree. She is a top 100 mommy blogger. She has a vlog, a Wednesday night vlog with over 2.5 million video views. She has a podcast about to hit iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And she is an Amazon best-selling author, in addition to being a very, very busy mother of 3 children and 3 fur babies. Rebecca, sweetheart, thank you so much for joining us.
I think that you did my introduction better than I could have.
I do have a little bit more practice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, honey.
Super excited. All right, so let's go back in time. What inspired you to become a social worker?
I had a strong feeling that you were going to ask me that question. And before we started, I was trying to go back because that was a very, very long time ago. And I think that back in high school, I was always the peacemaker between my friends fighting. And then I noticed, my parents were having some issues and they went to a social worker, and I saw how much the social worker helped them. So between feeling like a social worker in high school and then seeing the great work that they can do with my own family, I decided that that was the road that I wanted to take.
Awesome. So for folks who don't know, what does a social worker do?
There are so many different types of social work, so I'm not going to tell you all of them. There's a bunch of different things you can do with a social work master's degree. You can also just get a bachelor's degree in social work, but I did go on to get my master's degree and did my undergraduate in psychology. And what I decided that I wanted to do with my social work degree was I wanted to counsel families. And my passion is and was to help married couples have a better marriage and work through marital problems, and to help families with their children with parenting issues that they were struggling with. So I personally was counseling families.
Awesome. And you did that at Catholic Charities, the multi-systemic therapy program. What is multi-systemic therapy and why is it different?
My friend told me about this position. And when I went and learned about MST, multi-systemic therapy, I was sold because it is evidence-based therapy. And we only worked with families whose children had severe behavior problems. And it was a proven method to get the behaviors eliminated and decreased in the home to make it a more pleasant experience for the whole family.
Awesome. So what constitutes a severe behavioral problem?
Oh, there's so many.
Give us a few examples.
I'm going to give you a few examples of the families that I worked with. And I don't know what I've told you and what I haven't, Seth, but some of it might baffle your mind. One of the families that I'm working with, they really hold a special place that I was working with. See, they're still in my heart today. A family with, I believe it was 13 children.
Wow, and we feel overwhelmed with 3.
In a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh my God.
I told you about this family. They were playing with the hose. And I went home and just looked around and was just feeling so blessed and couldn't get this family out of my mind. But very special family to me. They could not get one of their children to go to school. There were actually a couple families who could not get their kids to go to school. And I will tell you, there were mornings that I was up super early to go to these people's houses to help them with their morning routine, to help support them get their kids to school. And it was really, that was one of the hardest, was kids who just really didn't want to go to school. And there's so many factors to why a child doesn't want to go to school. One of which is just knowing that they can get away with it. That's one of the, basic reasons. Really aggressive kids. There was some substance use. I'm trying to think of what other cases. So many severe behavior problems, lots of aggressive behaviors directed at siblings and parents. That was one of the most common.
So you worked with those families, and unlike a traditional therapist who might see somebody once a week for 50 minutes on the couch in their office, you were literally making house calls, going into their environment, helping support them and implement this program in their environment, which is absolutely incredible and obviously would work quote unquote better.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. This is our normal dynamic. I'm just going to tell you that it was more than once a week. It was in their home and it was in multiple locations. So it was really good for me. It trained me to be a really good mom, because I went to the school with these families and met with key players in the school, social workers, teachers, principals, and went to court with them and helped advocate for them in the court system. So it was in multi-systemic therapy means you're involving multiple players with the family and helping everybody work together.
And then you did such a good job at that you were then promoted to train other social workers in how to do what you had done. Talk a little bit about the shift from working directly with the families to then training the social workers themselves.
Every step has been an incredible step. That I like variety, right? And that I don't tend to stay stagnant. I tend to always be reaching for the next goal. And it was a really incredible move, because instead of helping my significant families for my caseload, I was then helping all the families on all the therapist caseloads in my office. And I love teaching. I wanted to be a teacher. That was my first desire. So I love teaching social work, and I love teaching parenting, and I love teaching how to have a better marriage. So it was an incredible shift for me. And I wanted to do more. I had more ideas of what I was going to do next at Catholic Charities. And then I had Max.
Okay, so you made a transition and increased your ripple effect, which is something we teach at Sharkpreneur all the time, which is it's one thing to be a doer of the thing. You're a social worker, you're a therapist, you're a chiropractor, you're whatever. You see that many patients, customers, or clients, but if you teach others how to do what you did, now your ripple effect is exponentially larger, because instead of just helping the 20 or however many families you can help, if you have 10 therapists, you've now 10x the number of people you're actually reaching. Talk a little bit. You made a transition then to become a full-time stay-at-home mom for quite a few years. What was the difference like from teaching families and teaching therapists to then implementing it with your own kids?
I was so thankful for the training and the experience, because it has helped me be a better mom. And I am not finished counseling families, because I was doing that before I was a mother. And I was really, really trying to get into their shoes as best I could. I was in the home, so I saw what was going on and I saw how hard it was, but I did not understand the exhaustion. They would, right? they would tell me they were exhausted, and I would be like, you can do it. I'm your cheerleader. I'm here. I'm going to hold your hand. I'm not going to let you fail. And I was like the pep in their step. But I had the energy to be the pep. I didn't have kids. And now that I have a husband, 3 kids, a dog, 2 cats, now I get it. I don't think that I was a bad therapist. I think I was a good therapist.
Judging by your statistics and your promotion, you were an awesome therapist.
I want to see what happens next now that I'm a mother. And I want to help people now that I have the mother role on my belt. And I think that the experience and the training was an incredible thing for me before motherhood. And I loved that I could use everything as a mother, but I will tell you that, so you know this, and you unfortunately use this against me. I will know in my head what the right answer is, whether it's parenthood or marriage, and I don't always do the right thing. So even though my training tells me what I should be doing, I don't always do it.
Okay, so I understand. I'm not trying to use it against you. I'm trying to inspire you to do the right thing. So I've never
work on how you do that.
Fair enough. I could improve my communication when I'm pointing out that you know what you should be doing and you're not doing it. Fair enough. I'll accept blame for that. So what let's say you could go back in time to your social worker self. What would you tell her? How would you counsel families and the parents differently now that you have been through it for 13 years as a mom?
I think that they knew how hard I was trying to get in their shoes. They saw the compassion. I would explain how drained these mothers are more than I could ever have understood. And dealing with some of these behaviors every day. I mean, you see how exhausted I am from Lily, and she would not qualify. I'm going to knock on wood.
I'll do the same.
She wouldn't qualify to be one of my clients.
No, she's not breaking any laws yet. Hopefully not ever. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. She's a law-abiding citizen at 8.
So I would just, if I could talk to myself back then, to try to help myself understand the depth of their exhaustion. And I think that if I to get supports for this mother, because mothers can't do it by themselves. And I knew it then, but I know it more now.
That makes total sense. What advice would you give yourself 13 years ago as a new mother looking back?
When you leave the hospital with your baby, you think to yourself, why are they letting me leave with this baby? They haven't given me any lessons.
We didn't get an instruction manual.
I was like, they just expect me to just go home and know what I'm doing with this newborn baby. So thank God for my mother, because that was a lot of phone calls. I would tell myself to relax. That is the theme of me. And I'm telling myself that now today. I would tell myself 2 things: relax and have confidence in yourself. And the more that I tell myself that I can do something in my head, the calmer I feel. And I'm finding that all of my anxiety through my whole life is a lack of confidence in myself, and that I just need to have faith that I can do it.
That is great advice. Brand Ballot, named you in 2018 one of the top 100 mommy bloggers in the country. What inspired you to start blogging?
So back when I started, Lily was, I believe, 10 months old. So we had all 3 of our children when I started blogging, and I wish I had started earlier, but it was all going by so quickly. And I started it out as just documenting my life because I wanted to remember stuff. And then I found that writing became my greatest coping strategy, and I would be so stressed out and I would write it out and I would feel so much better. And then I would have mothers tell me that it was helping them. So then I was like, okay, I'm helping me and I'm helping them. I'm going to run with this.
What do you like best about blogging?
I love getting lost in my laptop. I pick a topic. There's usually a topic that speaks to me every week. And I sit down, and sometimes it's, several days. And sometimes it's just, it's usually several days. I get lost in the process. My stress melts away, and I read it over. And so my stress is melting away while I'm writing. And then as I read it, sometimes I find that if I'm really stressed out, I'll read it several times. And every time I read it, the stress is better. So I just love that it's my favorite coping strategy.
And it's constructive, and it doesn't cost anything, and you don't have to go anywhere. So you can do it from anywhere. That has some wonderful qualities to it. How did you then take that process to a physical book?
So you are a brilliant businessman. You know that. And you actually came to me with the idea. And I said no. I don't know why. There's some blogs that I feel very vulnerable with, and I feel like I hesitate with some of them. And the more I hesitate, the better the blog, and the better response I get, the more vulnerable I am. And my response to putting it all to you had a great idea to make it all into a book. And I felt too vulnerable and too open. And I felt very nervous about it. And then I made a shift. And I did the shift myself. You may have mentioned to me that I was going to help people. But I made the shift, and I moved from it being about me to it being about others. And I made it about helping everyone else and not about my nerves. And then I felt like, this is a great idea. Let's do it.
Is that in general a good coping strategy, regardless of the topic, to make it about other people to help you get out of your own head?
Yes. If I focus on helping people, my own nerves vanish. And in fact, Ella got rid of my stage fright. We've talked about this because I've had to, whether it's a vlog or a podcast or someone wants to interview me, someone wants me to speak in front of people, you ask me to come speak in front of people, whatever the case may be. I used to get really bad stage fright. And Ella, our daughter, told me, she's 11 and she's an actress. She told me to think about what I'm giving to the people in front of me. And whether it's I'm trying to entertain them and make them smile, or I'm trying to help them, that got rid of my stage fright. Just think about everyone else and don't think about myself. So that tends to help me in general, just in life.
Okay, and tell everyone our folks who probably don't know, tell them, what is Whinypaluza Wednesday?
Okay, so every Wednesday, so I pick a topic every week, and I decided Wednesday was going to be my day for the topic to come out. And then we decided, because it sounded so cute, maybe that's why I picked Wednesday, I decided that it was going to be my Whinypaluza Wednesday, because my business is Whinypaluza. So Whinypaluza Wednesday means every Wednesday a topic comes out, a new topic that's related to family and marriage. And the blog, it starts out as a blog. The blog is usually posted in the morning to my whinypaluza.com page and to Facebook. And I do mention on Instagram too that the new topic is out. And then at night, at 9 p.m. at night, my family goes live and does a vlog, a video blog, and we talk about the topic that I picked for the week. So this is every Wednesday.
What do you like differently about discussing it live versus you writing it by yourself?
So I love to write. However, I am finding, what is going to help people the best And that is what I'm always evaluating. Which topics are getting the best feedback, which method of communicating is getting the best feedback. So I'm always watching to see what people like best and respond to best. What I love about the vlog is that so many more people are watching us versus reading my blog. And I love for people to read it. I hope that it's helping. And I think that it is. However, the amount of views of the vlog is showing me that people want to see us more than they want to read us. So I love getting to get my message across in the best way, whatever works for people.
I like that you are listening to your target market and following what they are telling you. Great business and marketing advice for everybody. What challenges come with doing a weekly live show?
Somehow, I think that it became a 9 p.m. thing because that was the best response. We tried different times of night, and I think having a consistent time so that people know when to expect it is great. And somehow we evaluated and saw that 9 p.m. was getting the best engagement, which is, a little bit late. Moms are fading, kids are fading. So it's a little challenging at 9 p.m. And the kids will be excited at like 6 p.m. They're like, oh, it's Whinypaluza Wednesday. I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about this and I'm going to talk about this. And I'm talking about the girls because Max never said that.
I was going to correct you, but you did it yourself.
Okay, so that might be at like 6, maybe 7. And by 8 and 9, we're all fading. So I tend to go fix up my makeup and try to like pump myself up to wake up, like wake up. And sometimes it works with the kids and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes the kids are not engaged at 9 o'clock at night. So that's the biggest challenge.
And how do you, because you get feedback in real time because people comment on what you're talking about in video. So how do you stay focused on what you're trying to communicate while responding to your audience literally live?
You know that I want to give them what they want. So I want to answer their questions and I want to help them. So if it's a question that I think is going to help them, of course I'm going to answer it. I know in my head a few things that I want to get, a few points that I want to get across that night. Okay. So if my topic is marriage and you and I had a fight that I want to talk about, then I want to make sure that I have my like little list in my head. Okay. I want Seth and I to talk about what did we fight about? What did we learn from it? And what do we want to tell people? So I, in my head, know the few things that I want to cover. And then everything else is gravy. So if you mention good content that I didn't know was going to come up, that's a bonus. If people talking to me are going to ask me stuff that I wasn't going to add, that's a bonus. So I make sure that I cover the few things and then everything else is just extra.
You originally didn't write every week. And when you started going live, it wasn't every week as well. It could be easy to be overwhelmed with 3 kids, 3 pets, and everything else going on in our very busy lives. How did you get to the point where you could consistently do it every single week and do both media forms every single week?
It's a deadline. And I think my advice to anyone is to give yourself a deadline. So whatever the case may be, whether it's a book or a blog or painting your house, whatever you want to get done. I know that it's being published on Wednesday. So I haven't started Wednesdays. So it's Sunday. So I'm probably going to start something today. And I just know that by Wednesday morning it's due. Actually, Tuesday night is when I like to submit it. So the deadline works for me.
Okay, you have a written blog that comes out every Wednesday. You have that is you writing. You have a Facebook live show where I am your humorous sidekick and the kids moonlight Wednesday nights. You are now launching a podcast, and the podcast is totally different from the blog and the vlog. Talk a little bit about the podcast.
So Whinypaluza is about families and about marriage. So I am interviewing other mothers. So far, it's just been mothers. And they are mommy bloggers, they are entrepreneurs, they have fabulous businesses. Some of them has podcasts. I am interviewing them, which I am loving. I love getting to know other mothers. And every time I talk to one, I learn something new, which I love learning. So every Friday, I don't know when it's starting, maybe this Friday, we're going to let everybody know. Every Friday, it's going to launch Whinypaluza Family Friday. And every week, it's going to be a different mom or parent or parenting expert, marriage expert, mommy blogger. And you're going to hear me talk to them and you're going to learn about them. And hopefully you are also going to learn something along the way like I am. And I'm really enjoying it.
That is awesome. What do you like best about what you're doing?
In general?
Yes.
Just everything?
Yes.
So my main desired outcome with all of this is that I want mothers to know that they're not alone. And when I read something from another mother, or I hear something from another mother, and it resonates with me, and it is something that I was feeling, if I hear that someone else is going through it, it helps me so much. And to learn, how are they dealing with it? What are they doing? Who is helping them? That's what I want to do for people. I want them to know that they're not alone, and I want to help people. And those are my two favorite things.
You have a business that has started from a blog to a vlog to a new podcast to books to people wanting to interview you. You have 3 very busy children and many activities. How do you balance it all?
The biggest way, the only way to juggle multiple things is to have support. I'm one person. I cannot do everything. I can't be in 3 places at once, sometimes 4 or 5 places at once. I have to ask you to help me. My friends help me. My parents help me. And I tell people in almost every blog to please reach out to your support system, because that's the only way that us mothers can do it.
How have you adjusted your parenting during the COVID pandemic?
It's been challenging. I think that the biggest thing for me is I tell parents to check on your kids, watch your kids. How are they behaving? What do you think they need? It hasn't been normal life since before March. So I would say I have really found a value in activities that I hope that they can continue. I value and encourage extracurricular activities more than I did before this, just to get them out of the house and connected with people. And I have used multiple ways to help them stay connected. I think that I have never encouraged my kids to call, my girls especially. Max is gaming. Max, our 13-year-old son, is on his computer talking to people a lot of the time. And I know he's not alone. So I more watch the girls, Ella and Lily. And Ella will be to herself too much. So I will encourage her to call someone. I will encourage her to invite someone over. I've had to really encourage them to do different things than I never had to worry about any of this before this. So it's a very different way of parenting for me.
How has it affected your and their mental health?
So Max and Lily seem okay. Ella, I have to really keep tabs on and make sure she's okay and ask her what she needs and make suggestions. And for me, it's been hard. September was really hard. I felt like I had emotions all over the place. I was exhausted, cranky. You kept telling me I wasn't myself. It was a very hard adjustment. And for us, it was even harder because our kids were told that they could go to school a couple days a week, and then we're told that they couldn't go to school a couple days a week. So our middle schoolers are doing full remote, which for Max has been going well, and for Ella hates it. So it's been stressful for me. I would say that for my mental health, I have really had to talk to my friends a lot to get through this. And I think that the 50 million text messages that you see every day is what has gotten me through this since March.
So using your supports, talking about it, communicating.
Yes.
Awesome. What else do you want to share with our audience that I didn't think to ask you?
You know, you are really, really good at this, and I am learning from you. And you asked me so many good questions. I don't think you missed anything. I think you're awesome.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
That's one of my favorite questions that you and I have discussed. I love that question so much. And two women stick out in my mind. And you have seen me grow since you've met me. And you remember that I would get overwhelmed. And you still see that sometimes I get overwhelmed, but that I handle it better. And I feel like the older I get, the better I handle it. Back when I was a child and my mother would see me get so like, I'm never going to do all this, she would always say to me, it will get done. One step at a time, you will get everything done. And as basic as that might sound, that advice is in my head every single day and has carried me through like 30 years of feeling overwhelmed. And I always remind myself, step by step, I will get it all done. And, you know, the other advice, when I started my internship doing family counseling, one of the supervisors sat me down and was talking to me about reactivity. And she said, you're going to know that you are a phenomenal therapist when you aren't reactive, when you can sit with someone and just be responsive and not be having a lot of reactivity in the session. And I took that out of therapy and took that to every facet of my life. So the goal every day is to be calm and not reactive.
What advice would you give our entrepreneurs and business owners watching this about what they can do to use what you've learned and what you've shared with their customers, clients, and patients?
I have had the privilege of helping you from the beginning and being a consultant, a home consultant. And I have had the privilege of having you come home and tell me about work stressors. And I have always tried to help. And the same thing that's going on in a family is going on in a business. And you have to make sure everybody is working together and that everybody has clear expectations, everybody has clear roles, everybody knows when their deadlines are. It's the same at home with my family as it is in your office with your business family. And I would say to every single person watching and to myself and to you, to have confidence in yourself, because the doubts and the fears, it's what brings us down. And if we can talk to ourselves how we talk to everyone else, we will all be successful.
Wow, that's a great place to wrap up. That's a writer downer right there, folks. This has been Seth Greene with Sharkpreneur with my wonderful wife, Rebecca Greene. You can get her book, Whinypaluza, on Amazon. You can read the blog at whinypaluza.com. You can find her on Facebook at Whinypaluza Parenting. And be sure to look for Whinypaluza Family Fridays on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can find podcasts. Sweetheart, thank you so much. What a great interview.
Thank you so much for interviewing me. That was fun.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Whinypaluza Podcast. If you like what you heard, please be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. While you are there, leave a review. I love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.